In terms of issues, I did want to give you one update. We were contacted by the Richmond City Electoral Board. They let us know they were having an emergency meeting to go ahead and remove the precinct chief at precinct 310, and they have gone ahead and replaced that individual with a different person who is now running that precinct. And with that, I would be happy to take any of your questions. Yes, Marcus?
Quick question, do you have any statewide data for provisional ballots?
So right now we don't have anything statewide other than what we knew as of this morning, which is that we had about 16,000, 17,000 statewide.
We've seen and heard more of multiple issues that have come up so far for voters throughout the day in Virginia. Can you detail what measures and plan are in place to ensure voters are able to cast their votes if issues like these continue to pop up? And do you anticipate in needing to take more significant steps to ensure everyone looking forward to vote today can do so?
Can you give me an example of the types of issues that you've heard about?
To the precinct where the chief elected official has to be removed. What other measures are going to be in place if issues in relation to that are going to pop up?
Right. Our registrars and our electoral boards are constantly surveilling their precincts. They're visiting them in person to make sure that if any issues occur that they address them immediately. Having been an electoral board member in Chesterfield for 3 years, that was one of the things that I did on election day. I would visit 27 precincts throughout the day and make sure that they had the supplies that they needed. If they had any issues with the precincts, we would rectify those on the spot. So in most of the counties, cities that we've talked to today, they have people who are on the ground actively monitoring what's happening in their locality and making sure they're dealing with problems as soon as they happen.
Trevor Metcalf with the Virginia Pilot. Do you have a question?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sure, we have reports of a long lines and some issues at the Phoebus High School location in, I believe, Hampton, Virginia, due to a bunch of Hampton University students being bussed over by the school and having to be issued provisional ballots. Do you guys know anything about that or have any updates on whether on what the situation is there? Thanks.
So we have heard that there are long lines in some localities that have universities and colleges, as a lot of those students have been encouraged to same-day register today. We have been in touch with those localities, and in every case, they are deploying more officers of election and supplies to those universities, to those precincts on their campuses. And what we would just encourage everyone to do, as I said at the top, is please make sure you stay in line. Even if the 7 o'clock hour passes, they will process you, and they do want you to vote. So please do not get out of line.
Just back to Richmond again, can you give us a sense of just...
Thank you.
Do you know why they chose to remove her, what exactly it was about that, and how rare something like that is? And just another potential, and then back to that question, is VCU one of the places you're seeing this high influx of provisional ballots? And then finally, hearing reports about some jamming issues at precincts in Chesterfield on some of the machines there with the paper ballots. Do you know anything about that?
In Chesterfield, we heard briefly of an issue this morning that I believe was resolved by 8 a.m. Have not heard anything more out of Chesterfield in terms of anything with machines or issues. In terms of VCU, I have not heard specifically anything about VCU. And I'm sorry, what was the other?
Or do you know the reason why they chose to remove her, and just how rare or common is something like that to have a removal like that on election day?
Right. I wasn't part of the board meeting, so that was the Richmond Electoral Board, so I don't know exactly all of the specifics of the situation, but they did contact us to let us know that that was occurring.
Michael O'Connor with the Dogwood. Do you have a question for us?
Yes. For the 11 ballots that were given out, were those voters able to cast a vote?
For the 11 ballots, they did cast 11 ballots. Yes, sir.
Right, but they were misprinted. Were they able to cast votes on the correct ballots?
So my understanding of the situation is that they cast ballots on federal only or presidential only ballots, which only included the office of President of the United States. It's unclear to us if they were presidential only or federal only. Those are two types of ballots that are made available to voters who have specific situations, like they may have moved just before a presidential election. It makes it available to them. So those ballots, as far as I understand, did not include the local races.
So they aren't given a chance to cast a different ballot with all the races that they're eligible to vote for?
That's correct, because you can only put one ballot into the machine.
Tracy Cooper, could you please tell us who you're with when you ask your question? Thanks.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I'm with 13 News Now, and I'm filling in for Gennaro Bussi on this briefing. I wanted to ask about the precinct chief in Richmond. Was there any actual issue with that person that was discovered besides just a miscommunication or some sort of miscue? What was the reason for removing that person in the middle of the day?
Right. The questions about the precinct chief in Richmond that was removed, I don't have any of the particular details. We were not involved in that board meeting and did not hear any of the reasons why.